Hi, I'm Alex Meyer. I'm Professor for Parasitology at the Research School of Biology here at the Australian National University. And today we thought we invite you to our lab because that's a rare occasion that you can see where we do our research. Okay, as you can see, we had a secure door because we leave our parasites in the lab and we don't want to take it out. So that's why we also have to put our lab gowns on and just come on in and see what we are doing. Okay, so we are here in our physical containment lab and we actually work on parasites. And parasites are organisms that live in or on other organisms and cause some harm. And so that could be a parasite that affects actually cats or dogs, companion animals. It could be a parasite that actually causes disease in humans, or it could actually be diseases that are spread amongst the wildlife out in the bush. So we look at different parasites here in our laboratory, and we analyze and try to find new ways to fight those parasites. So this is our first stop, and we have Sabina and Lizzie here, and they're going to show you something about poo flotation. Take it away.
Thanks, Alex. Hi, I'm Sabina. I'm a first-year PhD student here in the Meyer Lab working on the human malaria parasite, Plasmodium falciparum.
And I'm Lizzie. I'm also a PhD student in the Meyer Lab, but I work on the gastrointestinal parasite Giardia. Today, we're just going to show you a side project of ours, which is a poo float.
Yeah, essentially we've been working with a local Wombat rescue group to try and establish a threshold for parasitic infection that will inform their treatment plans. So we've got a sample here of some fresh Wombat poo, and we're going to mix it with a special solution that makes the parasitic eggs float to the top, and then we can have a look under the microscope and try and determine how many parasites this Wombat has. So this is our flotation solution.
We need 28 mils. In 2 grams of poo?
2 grams of poo. Give it a good mix, make sure the poo is broken up. And then we just let that rest for 5 minutes to let everything float to the top. So the parasite that we're looking for in this poo in particular is a roundworm called Strongyloides spirae. And Strongyloides are little tiny roundworms. This is another species of them. They're little white, quite small. The ones in the Wombat are much smaller than this. This actually comes from the stomach of a kangaroo.
All right, so the 5 minutes are up and we're just going to strain our poo mixture through essentially a tea strainer. This makes kind of a more homogeneous mixture, which we will be able to clearly see any parasites or strongyloid eggs. So we've got this Whitlock chamber, which allows for a defined volume of this mixture in each little channel. There's grid lines on the top, which we'll focus on under the microscope, and we'll use those grid lines as a guide for counting the eggs. So we want the eggs to float, because if we can separate them from the other stuff that's in the poo, then we'll be able to see them and count them better. The eggs are currently floating toward the surface of this mixture, so we take 0.5 per channel and we move it around to get a representative sample of eggs. We want to kind of tip it on the side a little bit.
So now we let this rest for another 5 minutes to let any more eggs float up to the surface before we have a look under the microscope. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes. So we're going to carefully bring our counting chamber over to our microscope. Okay, we're going to start on 4 times magnification and focus on the grid lines of the counting chamber, so we're in the correct field of vision. Then we can up it to 10 times magnification and do another little readjust. So focusing on that grid line there. And now we're ready to count. So we'll always start at one corner of the chamber and then have a look for some eggs. Okay, here is a beautiful Strongyloides spirae egg. You can kind of see the worm still inside it actually, which is pretty cool.
Hi, how did you go?
So we counted 90 eggs in the two chambers, and after some quick calculations we discovered that this wombat in this sample of poo has 1,350 eggs per gram.
That's quite a lot. Wow.
Quite a lot, yeah. Still a long way to go. We'd love to gather a lot more data to try and establish those thresholds mentioned before to inform treatment plans for different wildlife rescue groups around Canberra.
Okay, we looked at parasites of wildlife, in this case wombats, and now we are moving to a parasite that affects human, malaria actually. So Sam over here, he works on malaria, and he will show you what he's doing in terms of finding out new drugs. And for this, we will switch off the light.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm a PhD student in Alex Meyer lab, and I'm working with human malaria parasite. So here what we have is a parasite proliferation assay, which measures the proliferation rate of parasites in the presence of the drug. It is a very powerful and common method in drug delivery discovery. And with this, we're able to determine how effective the drug is when it comes to inhibiting the parasite proliferation. So we are doing this in the dark because the DNA stain, which we call cyber-safe, is actually light sensitive. So that's why we're working in the dark. So now I will just demonstrate how this is done. So basically what we have here is a plate of parasites that was incubated with the drug for 72 hours. And then we will transfer the parasites into a lysis buffer that opens the cell up and release the DNA. And then there will be a DNA stain, which when it binds to DNA, it generates a fluorescent signal, and we're able to measure the signal based on how much DNA content is in the well.
Okay, thank you, Sam, to explain what you are doing with the parasite and how you determine how good different drugs work against malaria parasite. To move on, we actually switch on the light again. Before we looked at malaria parasites that were dead, and now we are looking at malaria parasites that are alive, and therefore we have to go into our culture lab over here, and for that we have to change the gowns again. As you can see, we have different colored gowns, and this is to know which gown belongs to which activity. So we are now in our culture lab where we have live malaria parasites. And this is Cecilia here, and Cecilia is actually trying to separate the malaria parasite that are inside of red blood cells from uninfected red blood cells.
Hi, I'm Cecilia. I'm a first year PhD student. And do you want to know more about this equipment? Take a look. This is a $15,000 equipment, and guess what it's for? It is actually a giant magnet that separates malaria cells. So the malaria parasite lives within the human red blood cells. Inside the cell, it eats up something called the hemoglobin. The hemoglobin, as you may know, it's something that transports oxygen within your blood. And after it does that, the parasite actually poops out a weird byproduct, and that's called the hemozoan crystals. Think of it as malaria poop. So as you can see here, the hemozoan crystal, there's something fun about it, it's actually magnetic. So when we pour the parasites into this column, it runs down through the magnet, between the magnets. All the infected red blood cells will be trapped in this column here, while all the uninfected red blood cells will continue on and drip through here. This way we can isolate between the infected and uninfected red blood cells.
Hi Cecilia, how did you go?
Good. I managed to separate the infected from the uninfected red blood cells, which means that I can move on to the next stage of my experiment.
That's terrific. I mean, one of the problems we have is that the parasites we have encountered so far are all microscopic. So we always need a microscope to look at them. Now we will look at a parasite within a parasite. Hi Linnea.
Hi Alex.
You're looking at trypanosomes, don't you?
Yes, I am in fact.
Okay.
Do you want to have a look?
Yeah, that would be great. Wow. Lots of small little unicellular parasites in there. Where did you find them?
These little parasites are actually within these leeches. Some of you might have even encountered them during a hike or bushwalk and then just looked down and were like, oh, something pinched me. Well, that's these ones. And I'm actually looking into the trypanosomes within these leeches to then further see what kind of species are in these leeches, because trypanosomes are in fact known, some species are known to transfer really severe diseases such as the African seedling sickness and the Chagas disease. So we want to see what potential leeches have as vectors for trypanosomes. So to actually now see how well my parasites are growing, I also want to count them. For this, I need to work under the hood. So follow me. To work under the hood, I actually need to switch lab coats. So I'm going to do that quickly. So to work under sterile conditions, we work under the hood with specific lab coats. And to keep everything sterile, we keep using ethanol to sterilize everything, including me and the hood. So to further count my parasites, I want to first actually homogenize my cells. For that, I'm going to use the pipette and then get an equal amount of parasites when I'm extracting them. Now I have my parasites, and now I can continue counting outside of the hood.
So that was a solid day in the lab, and we have shown you quite a few parasites, and hopefully you have a bit of an impression what it is like to work as a parasitologist on a day-to-day basis. So in order to conclude the day, let's go out, meet the team again, but before so, we have to wash our hands.
All right, everyone, we hope you enjoyed the tour of our lab and that you learned something about the kind of experiments we do as parasitologists. We hope you had a great time, and we'll see you next time. Bye.